¿Cómo están, amigos de Entre Rounds? Soy Andrés Lichtveld y sí, hoy es el programa que tanto han estado esperando. Fight Island este fin de semana y vamos a tener la gran previa este martes junto a Gilbert Meléndez, el niño Meléndez, quien será nuestro invitado especial. Así que vamos a entrar a nuestro segmento al 100 para que le vea la cara a todo el panel del día de hoy, que está bastante bueno. Así que vamos al 100. Y este es el panel para el día de hoy, señoras y señores. Balú Vargas, Goyito Pérez, Gilbert Meléndez, señoras y señores, el gran invitado especial y quien les habla, Andrés Lichtveld. Gilbert, my man, how you doing? Nice to see you, brother.
Good to see you too. Happy to be on today. Very happy about these upcoming fights. I'm excited.
Great. Balú, ¿cómo estás?
Muy bien, muy contento. Otra semanita aquí de Entre Rounds. Very excited to have Gilbert El Nino, my primo Melendez. So it's good. I'm excited to chat with you today.
Goyito.
Igual emocionado, otro episodio más de Entre Rounds y ahora con un invitado muy especial, alguien que ya ha estado en este deporte por mucho tiempo, alguien que yo he visto y veía cuando apenas estaba empezando a entrenar. Mis respetos para el niño Meléndez. Qué honor tenerlo aquí en el programa el día de hoy.
Thank you, Goyito.
You gotta go. Perfect. So let's start with this. And yeah, what Goyito basically said is that you've been in the sport way long, and he's so happy to have you here on our show. And we're are. So vamos a empezar, señores. Vamos a hacer esta entrevista para que lo entiendan en inglés y vamos a colocar los subtítulos para que todos podamos expresarnos de la mejor manera. Así que vamos a prestar mucha atención al gran programa que tenemos el día de hoy. So we're having this great event at Fight Island UFC 251 this weekend. Jorge Masvidal, he jumps at the end, like 6 days short notice. He's going to jump in Gilbert Burns, who was positive to coronavirus. And now Masvidal is fighting Kamaru Usman, the great champion, who looks unbeatable. So what's your take on this? Like, how everything happened so fast, and now we have the fight that many wanted to happen, right?
Absolutely. I think we have to give credit to Jorge Masvidal. Not only is he a fantastic fighter right now, he's becoming a fantastic businessman, a guy who's held out, did not take a fight unless he was going to get a big fight that was going to get him paid. And so, first of all, great move on his part for waiting it out. Yes, a week notice, jumping in, but he's getting that big fight, and I assume he's getting a big paycheck for it. As far as the matchup goes, not very fair for Jorge Masvidal to only have a week to prepare for it, but I bet he's a smart man who's been staying ready this whole time. When it comes to Kamaru Usman, I just think size is a big factor in this fight. Kamaru is a big man, and I think for him to be successful, he has to use that weight. Masvidal is a fantastic striker, very fluid, can slide in, slide out. He's faster. That's what he got going for him in the striking. But Kamaru Usman he's a big ball of muscle. And if he can put his weight on him and take him down, I think he could be successful.
Balú.
Gil, as someone who fought Jorge Masvidal 9 years ago, I believe it was, when you guys fought for the Strikeforce title, what do you see the Masvidal of then and the Masvidal now? Someone that we've seen, these spectacular fights against one of our friends and whatnot, but what do you see is in the new Jorge Masvidal that everyone calls the resurrection?
Yeah, back in the day, I was able to fight Jorge. I was on the top of my game, and he was a seasoned fighter. But yes, he's evolved. He's become a bigger, better fighter. I think when I experienced him, he always was a guy who was elusive, but at the same time, he wasn't running. And he had a fantastic jab, a fantastic 1-2. He had his big exploding knees, big kicks. Now, I think as he matured, he took some time off. And I think cutting to 55s was a challenge for him. And I think he grew into his body. I think being a good size 170-pounder allows him to be fluid, allows him to be faster. And the other things I see different is just his mentality. I think he said it himself. He was a guy who was fighting to win and score points, being more tactical, but now his mentality has been going for the finishes. I see him, he's really trying to get a kill out there, being elusive, being smart, but when he explodes in, it's a It's just a hard blitz, hard explosion. And that's one thing I see different for him. This guy's coming in, switching stance, big right hook, big flying knee, big kicks, and pasting all that together. Not one single shots, but longer combinations. And you know, and you can just see his confidence out there. He's in a stride right now. And when a fighter's in a stride, you just got to keep going.
Goyito.
Ok, voy a intentar hablar un poquito en inglés. I'm gonna talk a little bit in English.
Thanks, Goyito. Gracias, Goyito.
So what do you think, what is gonna be the plan to Usman to beat Jorge Masvidal? You see Jorge Masvidal is coming when a good striking, you know, and Usman, he has all his camp. Tuvo todo el campo de un mes y medio, 1 month and a half. So what do you think Usman is going to do to Masvidal?
Yeah, that's challenging for Usman that he was been practicing for Gilbert Burns, probably just working his jiu-jitsu and his takedowns and defending the submissions, you know, and that's a waste of time against someone like Jorge Masvidal, you know, so there is a disadvantage that way. But I do believe for Usman to be successful, he needs to do what he's done. To someone like Damian Maia, someone like Tyron Woodley, and just like he's done to everyone, which is pressure them, you know, jab in 1-2s and try to take them down, press them against the cage and take them down. Easier said than done against Jorge Masvidal. If you come in recklessly, you may walk into a straight right, a hook, a flying knee. So it's important when he's closing that distance, chins up, protecting himself as he's pushing forward. And of course, you got to just be very disciplined and not you lean forward into any of these strikes. So same as he's always done, you know, really going behind his straight punches, pushing forward and trying to close that distance and grab him and wrestle him down and use that weight on him. You know, even one scramble with Usman can get you tired. You know, I feel fresh and good, and then I wrestle, and then I'm dragging and I'm tired. And that's what Usman needs to do to Jorge. You know, so it's stick and move for Jorge and close the distance for Usman.
Malu, any other question?
Yeah, I do. You know, one thing that we were saying prior to, you know, when we saw this fight signing is, yeah, it's on short notice. Let's say, well, obviously Masvidal wins, he becomes bigger star than he already is, right? If he loses, I think he still wins. Is that something how you see because he's taking it on short notice, or does the hype just, you know, does it go away, or someone like him taking a fight on such short notice?
Yeah, number one, he's a winner because he's about to get paid a lot more than he was going to get paid for fighting somebody else with not as big of a name or for a title. So he's a winner, number one, by just holding out. You know, B, I think there's a lot of dream matchups still for him. You know, he's almost grandfathered in because he got in that rotation with Nate Diaz now. He has that BMF title. So win or lose, he does have different options. So, yeah, I think he could be a win-win situation. And, of course, if he loses, he can always blame it on a 1-week notice, you know? There's always that. Oh, you know, I didn't have time prepared, but I'm still a warrior. I still have the balls. I still have the guts. And, yeah, and I got paid. So, yeah, there is that. But, I mean, to get completely dominated by Usman, you know, that could hurt the brand. You know, if there's a long 3 rounds of Usman just beating him up, that could definitely have a negative effect. So, but I think most part, if things go well and he puts on a good show, his stock is still on the way up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Gilbert, you know that I've seen that Jorge Masvidal is one of the fighters with the most fights in the high leagues, but without claiming a title, right? So he's been grinding, like as Malu said, like for tons of years. He fought you like 10 years ago. How can this experience be at his advantage in this type of scenario? Because as we've been talking, Kamaru Usman he's a very big threat, and he has a full camp for this fight.
Yeah, that's interesting. You point that out. Though Usman's the champion, who has the more MMA experience, and by far that's Jorge Masvidal. He's very experienced, and like you said, 11 years ago, we did 25 minutes together. So he's been doing 25 minutes, and he's experienced that for you know, since then. You know, and sorry about that. I don't know how many I don't know how many title shots he's had or how many 5-round fights he had to lined up. But yeah, he's a veteran basically. You know, he's seen it all. He's had so many fights. I think it plays to his advantage.
Goyo, any other question?
No, yo quisiera brincar a si se pudiera para la otra pelea, más Holloway contra Volkanovski. ¿Cuál es lo que piensa de esa pelea? Yo personalmente pienso que ahora más Holloway sabe contra quién va a pelear. Ya es la segunda pelea que pelea contra Volkanovski. Siento que más Holloway tiene las de ganar, aparte de ser muy joven. Ya peleó contra Volkanovski y siento que ya lo puede haber descifrado. Que te lo traduzcan.
I got half of it. Dame, Andres, real quick, in one sentence.
No, let's leave it to Balu.
Yeah. So what he's saying that he's, you know, he wanted to hop into the next question, which is Holloway and Volkanovski rematch. He wants to know, you know, him going into the second fight, he has now the experience of the first time. You know, was there an advantage to that, or how could that help Holloway?
Absolutely, yeah, I think so. I feel like Holloway, when you lose and you have a rematch, you get to look back at the tape and see what you did wrong. Volkanovski has to look at the tape and look at what he did right. You know, how do I make adjustments, Volkanovski? Holloway gets to make all the adjustments. I feel like his main thing will be neutralizing the kick, which was effective for Volkanovski. You know, I think he glided out really well, but Volkanovski at the end of those blitzes was landing leg kicks. You know, Holloway needs to neutralize that. I think he does very good as a southpaw. I think being a southpaw, switching stance, being light in his feet, being a elusive fighter can be good for him. Also, I think adding the knees and way more knees and way more kicks to the head. He was so much focused on his hands, which he did good. But against a smaller fighter who's acting like Mike Tyson, dipping and ducking, you got to do knees, kicks, uppercuts. Those are the weapons that I like to see from Holloway this time. I think he'll be able to make the adjustments, and I actually think he'll be victorious on this next one.
Mm-hmm.
Gilbert, now talking adjustments. So I think it's normal in this type of scenarios when two guys fight the first time. The guy who wins often, he thinks that he done the right thing, and the guy who loses, he starts doing adjustments. So that's why we often have like a rematch and then the trilogy. And you are somebody that can talk about that. We can remember the Josh Thompson trilogy. So what's your take on this fight? Like, you think Volkanovski can like still be the champion, or do you think that Holloway's adjustments are gonna be further what Alex could do?
Yeah, usually it's the case where the guy who won is going to win again, you know? But in some cases, that's not it, you know? And I think Max Holloway has had a bunch of wars, but he's still very young. And I think he's wearing his fights well. I still think he can make the adjustments, and he'll have the advantage, you know? Being able to go back and study the tape and really realize what he did wrong and make those adjustments. So you know, going back and looking at film, I think he has that advantage, as in, okay, what could I do differently, where Volkanovski is probably still trying to add on and anticipate the changes that Holloway is gonna make. But I still feel like, you know, he's at a disadvantage because he's gonna just try to continue what he is doing. But he's shown that he's very smart, and making adjustments mid-fight is a challenging thing to do. But he is capable of it, and he also has a great coach who can help him make those adjustments in the middle of the fight.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Balu.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm with you. I'm Team Holloway for this one. I think he's gonna come back strong. My question for that, right? Let's say he does win it. Does Volkanovski get the immediate rematch, and do you continue to hold the division right hostage because these guys are doing a trilogy, or do you move on? Let Holloway defend again against someone, or we do the trilogy again, right? And then go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's always case by case. You know, if you ask my personal opinion, if it's a very competitive fight and Holloway, you know, wins a close fight, then of course I think so. If Holloway dominates, I think he has an opportunity to move past it. You know, if Volkanovski obviously wins a close fight, he probably can just run away. But at the end of the day, it's, you know, what makes the money. You know, the UFC is going to assess it all. And I think, you know, it's not just a a big money maker in the USA now. It's an international sport. And having Adesanya, Hooker, and Volkanovski, from Australia, New Zealand, that whole region out there, it's become an international sport now. We have stars from all over the world now, not just American stars. And I think if they have an opportunity to keep someone like Volkanovski in the mix, I think they're going to do it because of his popularity and the popularity growing in that region of the world.
Goyo, Balu, any other question for Volkanovski versus Holloway?
No, I'm good.
Okay, let's go to the other fight, which I see it very, very fun because of the fact that I don't agree with this fight, but this is what we have, and I'm gonna be honest. Every time I see Jose Aldo fight, like it's a great opportunity to watch a legend, a great athlete, and he's been at the top for over 10 years. And now he's going to fight for the World Bantamweight Championship against Peter Yan in Fight Island. So, Gilbert, what's your take first on this fight? Because we know we have people like Moraes, we have people like Sterling, Dominic Cruz. There's a bunch of people, great athletes in the 135 division. So, was this the fight to make, or you think this is just an homage to Jose Aldo?
Oh, good question. I mean, I have to ask. Well, you said you don't like this fight. Well, I have to know why, Andres, before I move on. Why don't you like this fight? You don't think Aldo deserves it?
No. As I said, I love this fight. But if we watch what was happening before, Moraes did beat Aldo. I know he wasn't on weight, but we also have Sterling in a good streak. But that's what I'm saying. That if this is what we have. I'm happy to have it because, as I said, it's a new opportunity to watch Jose Aldo and maybe make history once again, claiming his second title as a UFC fighter. And further, we've been watching Jose Aldo all life. So
now
that's to make it clear.
No, that's a good question. Are these guys the two guys to fight to determine who the vacant 135-pound champ is? There's people like Sterling out there who's definitely deserving to be in the mix. Dominic Cruz just lost. Can we throw him back in? I think timing is probably big on this one. Jose Aldo being a big star in Brazil. But in his defense, he could have easily got the nod against Marlon. He could have won that fight. Some people thought he won that fight, and against Volkanovski at 145s. Someone may thought he lost that fight. A lot of people thought he won that fight. I think the only person who's ever dominated Aldo has been Holloway. Other than that, he has an argument for some of these losses and these high-level guys who have beat him, Conor McGregor. But other than that, everyone else has been competitive. Yan, I'm a big fan of too. I just like his style. I think it's very interesting. One of those new breed fighters that shifts from southpaw to conventional, a la Dominic Cruz, who's one of the first guys who does that in that division. But he's not very elusive. He's not trying to run away. He's switching stance, but he's walking forward. He has a high guard. He has that Mexican style boxing where he keeps his hands high. He's willing to take 2 punches to give 1. And I like him about that. And I think that this fight's going to be great because it's 2 guys who aren't going to back down from each other. 2 guys who are going to maybe fight forehead to forehead like we see in boxing, like we see with, Jose Aldo all the time. He'll stay in the pocket with Jeremy Stevens. He'll stay in the pocket with Max Holloway. He stays there. Most guys stick and move on him. But Peter Yan, I don't know how to say his first name, does the same thing. So I think it's a really good fight. What I think Yan got's going for him is his youth and his ability to switch from conventional to southpaw and to sneak that big head kick in there sometimes. I think Aldo got the head movement going for him. I think it's a fantastic fight. I'm excited to watch it.
Balu.
No, I was one of those people that wasn't very happy when they announced that fight because I did think they skipped Sterling. I thought it was kind of messed up, but it was very a la UFC, right? That they tend to make fights just as, let's see what the audience likes. I also did hear in an interview where Cejudo was saying that the UFC owed Jose Aldo a title fight because he had stepped up, but because of the COVID shutdown and all the stuff that happened with traveling, he wasn't able to fight. And so Dominic Cruz stepped in. So they were kind of making it up to the champ that for so many years did his thing, right? But I do like the fight. The whole thing is I'm wondering what happens to everyone else, right? Let's see if Jose Aldo does get the miraculous knockdown, and now he's the new champ. It's like who do you give him next?
Yeah, no, I think that's a good debate. And to you and Andreas's point, I would be more than happy to see Sterling versus Dominic Cruz for the vacant title. I would have not been upset about that at all. If they made that fight, I would have been all for it. I think it's a coin toss for all of them, you know, and that's what we don't understand. Some of the things going behind closed doors. Maybe Cejudo's right. Maybe they owed him something. Maybe everyone in Brazil is purchasing this fight if it's Jose Aldo, you know. So there are a lot of things that go into it that are out of our hands. But I would be perfectly happy to say Jose Aldo versus Sterling, you know, Jan versus Dominic Cruz for the title, or a tournament for the title. Anything, I would have been happy for it. There's some great guys that, you know, you can make it you can make it happen, you know, but I don't get to call those shots, but I would be perfectly fine either way.
¿Con quién vas? Who you got?
Yeah, man, this is a tough one. I don't if you could ask me to pick, I can pick Usman. I think I can pick Holloway, you know, but when it comes to this fight, you know, this is a tough one. You know, my heart wants to go Aldo, but then I see Jan. He's so young, so active, so good. Goyito, are you gonna make me pick?
You need to pick.
Yeah, I have to pick. You're gonna.
I saw Jan training over there and Tiger Muay Thai, and he's training that. You know, block the likes of Jose Aldo. So
exactly. What do you think, Goyito? Who are you picking first? Let me hear.
My heart goes with Jose Aldo. I pick Jose Aldo.
Picking Jose Aldo, huh? You know, I feel like I'm on the fence too, but I do want to say Jose Aldo too, because I don't think Jan has met anyone like Jose Aldo. Yeah. And Jose Aldo has been in there with the best. And Jan likes to take the punches with that high guard, but I don't think he's ever seen a punch like Jose Aldo. And if Jan could take those punches, I'll tip my hat to him and I'll be happy for him, but I don't know if he's going to be able to. So I'm going to say Jose on this one as well.
Yeah, so Gilbert, that's an interesting take, the experience, right? And you as a champion, I wanna ask you, right? Aldo, I know that he fought over a decade being a champion in different circuits, you know, WEC, then UFC. And I imagine that if he goes to a title fight, world title fight for the 14th time, for the 13th time,
wow,
he would have a little notch like over a guy less experienced in that type of fight. So what's your take on that? Because you were the Strikeforce champion, you were in the top of UFC too. Like, how big could this be in the fight and market difference?
You know, as long as Jose is motivated, which he's been looking, he looked fantastic at 35s, even though when he came up short. I think it plays a huge advantage, as in he's just reached this level where he's just on, you know, he's just there. There's no going backwards. He's just up there. And at this point, you're so crafty and you're so good. You more than your offense, it's just your defense is so sharp. You know how not to get knocked out. You know how not to get finished. You know how to be in the fight at all times. And I think that composure and all this chaos is where he'll shine, you know, and how composed will Jan be in the chaos? Will he be over aggressive and stay focused? And I think that's what really comes down to is Jose Aldo will be more crafty, more composed, and just so much more calm in there because of, you said it's his 13th, 14th title fight, which is remarkable. There's so much comfort that comes along with that.
Mm-hmm.
Balu.
Yeah, you know, Gil, someone that got to be with you for so many years along on your fights. I remember we would see Jose Aldo, and we were always sizing him up, right? I think you're always like, we would look over and see how big he was, and you were like, okay, you were the Strikeforce champ, and Aldo was, you know, training, and he was just big, and we were wondering, like, how does that guy make 45s? He's making 35s now, and he's 33 years old. He's been fighting this game for a long time. You were 55s for a long time. You made the cut to 45s, you know, towards, you know, in the later part of the years of your career. I mean, is that something that you think? I mean, he says he feels great doing it. How hard is that adjustment when you're making that after all those years of being at a certain weight class?
Yeah, I believe, the older you get, are fighters mentally tough? Can they make the weight? Absolutely, 100%. If you ask Jose to make 125s, he can make 125s because that's how mentally strong he is. Now, is it going to be the same as when you're young? Will you recover the same? Will you feel the same? It sounds like a bad idea till you win, until you look good. He looked good, so it's all how he performs, right? If he performs well, it's a great idea. If he loses and gets knocked out, it's a bad idea. He should have never cut weight. He's dehydrated. It's bad for his brain. I mean, these are some of the risk. These are some of the risks going down and some of the things. But again, now, he's thinking, I can have new life here. I can beat these guys at 35s. And he looked good against Marlon. He looked healthy. It didn't seem like he showed like weakness because of it. So it's hard to say. I think everyone's case by case, but from my experience, any true fighter can make the weight. It's how you feel afterwards, and sometimes it just doesn't. It's not as fun at your older years worrying about cutting weight. You more don't want to have to worry about that in your older years. You just want to worry about the fight, and I think Aldo is capable of doing that, but that's just my opinion.
Goyito walks around at 185 and he fights at 130.
I would walk around 160, Vato. 160.
Yeah, I know. Don't be telling his personal business, Balu. That's personal.
After los tacos, after they eat tacos here in Tijuana, maybe 180.
Got the luchador body right there, dude.
For last, Gilbert, Fight Island. We've been listening about this like way back. The first time I heard Fight Island, I had to think about Mortal Kombat, the first movie, like The Island and Scorpion, Liu Kang, and like Tropical. What do you think we're having, and what were you thinking when you first time when you listened the Fight Island for the first time?
Oh, I was with you, Andres, man. I was like, Hawaii, Costa Rica, Island. This is going to be awesome. Now they're fighting in a desert. There's not no Fight Island. That's a desert right there. I mean, fighting at 105 degrees, 108 degrees. I mean, this can actually impact the fights, right? Like this can actually impact someone's performance, like if you're from the Middle East or you're from Abu Dhabi and you live there, you definitely have an advantage, If you're from somewhere cold and you're going to fight there, you might be freaking out, So that's definitely a challenge. But I mean, hopefully they have air conditioning. Hopefully they're in a good area and hopefully they're doing it. And to me, that's the most important thing about Fight Island is making sure that they're in a comfortable atmosphere when they fight. But, we saw when Khabib fought Dustin Poirier during that time. I mean, even the announcers were tired of just calling the fights all night. I mean, I could only imagine how tough that is. So I thought Fight Island was going to be on Hawaii and it was going to be fantastic and a vacation. But, this is like a desert island. I don't know.
Malu.
One of the things we always do here is we take the role of Dana White when it comes to matchmaking. So there's Andres White, there's Goyito White, and Balu White once in a while. So now we're going to ask Gilbert White. What comes next if Usman wins, and what comes next if Masvidal wins?
Well, I mean, you have Gilbert Burns on deck, right? Like you said, Cejudo said, they owe Jose Aldo. Hey, Gilbert Burns, he stepped up, and they're going to try to push that on whoever, right? So Usman, if he wins, he's definitely fighting Gilbert Burns. If Masvidal wins, they're going to say you're fighting Gilbert Burns, and he's going to say, no, I'm not fighting Gilbert Burns. I'm fighting someone who's going to give me a lot of money. And that somebody is either going to be Nate Diaz or it's going to be Conor McGregor, and that's going to be he would be the BMF champ and the welterweight champ, so he has plenty of fights that can get him money. He could either fight Khabib to get him a lot of money. He has Conor to get him a lot of money, or Nate Diaz to get him a lot of money. I see no other fights for him except those to get him paid. Maybe Covington. Covington brings some money to the table, but I don't think as much as anybody else. And I think he matches up well with everybody. Of course, I'd love to see Nate fight him because that's my boy, and I think a rematch would be different. But I think, it's not about the championship, right? The real title is whatever fight gives you the most money. So that's your championship, right? It doesn't really matter what the UFC belt no more. It's how much the paycheck is. So I think that's what he has, a lot of options. But I think Usman will fight, and he'll fight Gilbert Burns right after.
You heard it here from Gilbert White.
Goyo, ¿alguna última pregunta sobre el evento en general?
No, yo estoy chido con eso. Quiero preguntarle a él de él.
Bueno, pregúntale a él de él, pues.
Hey, okay. We're gonna go back 4 years ago. I don't know how many years ago. I was sitting in the front of the UFC. You fighting versus Diego Sanchez. You win first round, you won the second round, and the third one, second and third one, it was crazy. What you thinking in your mind? Like, I heard a lot of times the stories of that fight from Balú, but what you thinking, like, ¿por qué no llevabas la pelea al suelo, donde te convenía llevarla a ti y quisiste pelear la pelea de Diego Sánchez?
He's saying, why didn't you take that fight to the ground, and why did you decide to take the fight that Diego wanted, which was standing?
And what it was thinking in your mind, like,
yeah,
go in that fight.
I mean, I felt like I got caught in this fight with Diego where it was like whoever backed down first was the loser, And I was like, I cannot back down from this guy. And I fight better fighting forward. He fights better fighting forward. If I try to go backwards, I don't think I would do well as much, But I just got caught up in the moment. I felt things were going well, and I thought I was going to knock him out, but he wouldn't go down. So I got caught up in this fight, and I stuck with it. But I thought I was fighting. I was watching, like, Walking Dead a lot during that time, The Walking Dead at home for, like, just because that's what I was watching, It was just on my thing, And then I was like, I'm fighting a fucking zombie right now, dude. I'm fighting this guy. I'm hitting him with everything I got, and he won't go down, And I know.
It was crazy.
I know. And then he knocked me down. I was like, son of a bitch, But it was. I didn't know. You don't know till afterwards how much, What it was almost. You don't even know what happened. It just happened. So it was great to be a part of history, though. I look back on it. I was happy to be a part of history, and that even 4 years or whatever, 5 years it's been, Goyito still asks me about it,
Hey, entonces fue una pelea de a ver quién tenía más bolas, ¿no? Era de quién es
Fuck
el
you.
yeah.
For sure. That was fight of the year. Everyone knows it.
I was there, and everybody throw the cerveza and they had over there, and there it was awesome fight.
Thank you, Goyito. I appreciate that. That means a lot to me.
Thank you for that fight, bro.
No. You know what? No, we thank you for helping us out and stuff like that. We'd love to have you more on the show. Hopefully, you'll next one you're talking in Spanish. That's what we're working on.
I'll practice my Spanish, bro. I can't articulate the same, dude. I can't articulate the same. Pay for my lessons.
Goyito's doing his English lessons today. You do the Spanish ones next time.
Yeah.
But no, man, we appreciate it. Hopefully you can join us more on these shows. It's awesome to hear perspectives from fighters like you and Goyito, and we're lucky to know you guys and stuff. So it's fun to have you guys, and thank you for jumping on board and helping us out.
No problem. It's my pleasure, man. You guys keep up the good work. I've been tuning in. I know you guys just got started, but all the Latinos, man, they need something to tune into. So keep it up, man. It's great. All the Latinos are doing good and fighting too now. So keep pushing it, boys.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you, Gilbert. Goyo, ¿quiere algo para cerrar?
No, pues muchas gracias. Gracias por darnos este espacio, la oportunidad de tenerte aquí en el programa. Y bueno, esperemos tenerlo más veces aquí en el programa. Muchas gracias, Gilbert.
He said what I said in Spanish.
I know, I got it.
The same.
We do that a lot. Sometimes he'll say something, I go, whatever Goyo said. Yeah. It's coming on here.
Yeah, and I'm going to do the same. So thank you, Gilbert, for being with us. And we hopefully going to have you in the future in Entre rounds, because MMA is growing fast and we're going to grow with it. So thank you very much, Gilbert. Estuvo también con nosotros Eduardo Balú Vargas, Erik el Goyito Pérez, Gilbert Meléndez, nuestro gran invitado especial, y Andrés Lichtveld, quien los acompañó. Y de esta forma cerramos al 100. Y de esta forma finalizamos nuestro segmento al 100, señoras y señores, especial sobre Fight Island con un invitado mejor imposible, Gilbert, el niño Meléndez. Goyo, ¿qué te pareció? Espectacular, ¿no?
Fue un honor, ¿no? Tener a alguien de la categoría del niño Meléndez, un gran exponente de las artes marciales mixtas. Fíjate, me acuerdo desde que veía Strikeforce, estarlo viendo y ver su estilo. Era de los primeros latinos que tenía ese boxeo y esa lucha muy completo. Gilbert Meléndez, me recuerdo muchas peleas de él en Strikeforce y no, pues todo, una felicidad tenerlo aquí en el programa. Sí,
Balú, ¿algo que agregar?
Pues nada, llevo mucho conociendo a ese güey, no hace nada impresionante. Estuvo padre porque pues, estuvo chingona la plática ahí que tuvimos con él, ¿no? Porque es una perspectiva diferente. Obviamente, Goyo siendo peleador nos da la perspectiva de él, pero tener también alguien como Gilbert también, y tiene mucho sentido con lo que hemos estado diciendo, y de acuerdo, no, entonces no estamos tan mal de lo que pensamos, porque ahí nos andan, sí andamos cuadrando ahí con él. Pero no, muy padre la conversación ahí con él y ojalá nos pueda acompañar más.
Sí, fue una gran entrevista y lo digo, Gilbert ha competido en absolutamente todos los lugares, WEC, Strikeforce, ha peleado en Shoto, ha peleado en el UFC. Para mí es el mejor peleador en la historia de Strikeforce, y el que lo quiera debatir cuando quiera venimos y hablamos sobre eso, porque en verdad el dominio que tuvo en ese momento en su división, en una etapa donde los mejores del mundo estaban allí, Gilbert era el campeón, y luego en el UFC hizo una gran labor. Así que, verdad, un honor tener a esta gran figura de las artes marciales mixtas en nuestro programa. Y bueno, es familia, es primo de Balú, es familia de nosotros también, ¿no?
¿Quién nos va a acompañar la próxima vez? A ver quién sale. Los que quieran nos pueden mandar mensaje para que se apunten. Tengo una fila.
Que escriban.
Sí, ¿quién quieren que nos acompañe? También escriban. ¿Quién va a ganar la pelea del fin de semana? La de Usman contra Masvidal.
Hacemos
la de
apuestas
Peter Yan
o no
con José Aldo.
Apostar.
Vamos con los pronósticos entonces. ¿Qué dicen?
Yo voy con Burns.
Burns no va a pelear, güey.
Pero si Burns no va a pelear, Goyo. Goyo, así que es difícil.
Voy con Usman, voy con más Holloway y voy con José Aldo. Esos son mis 3 picks.
Balú.
Pues yo voy con Usman solamente porque va a llegar al pesaje antes que Burns, que es lo que ya escogió Goyo. Entonces yo ya gané esas 100 bolas cobrados. No, mira, la verdad, puta, güey, voy a ir con Masvidal porque creo que trae ahorita esa pinche rachita que Burns también trae, y fallé ahí cuando no le hice caso. Creo que va a tratar de ser Usman una pelea aburrida, como cuando Cormier peleó con Anderson Silva, ¿no? Que lo va a tener que llevar al piso porque aunque sea una semana, una persona como él es totalmente peligroso todavía. Entonces creo que la mejor estrategia sería no llevarte no estar a pie con Masvidal, pero llevarlo al piso y dominarlo, y que sea una de las peleas más aburridas, pero no importa, quedas como campeón. Y la siguiente voy con Holloway porque creo que eso va a pasar. Y obviamente me gustaría que Aldo gane. Voy con Aldo en esa.
Bueno, yo en la estelar, a ver, tenemos entonces Goyo tiene uno, Balú tiene al otro. Yo me voy con Jorge Masvidal y les explico por qué. Tiene una gran experiencia a este nivel, y también no estoy con esto queriendo decir que Masvidal se le facilitan los luchadores, pero él tiene una gran defensa de derribo, es porque tiene un gran timing para entender cuándo va a entrar su oponente y poder contraatacar. Y creo que si Jorge Masvidal logra establecerse de esa forma rápido en la pelea, Usman lo va a empezar a respetar y se lo va a pensar 2 veces antes de buscar cualquier entrada. Hay que ver cómo trabajaría Usman al pace, al ritmo que quiere Masvidal, que es muy diferente al del campeón. Entonces, por eso creo que sí, Usman es favorito, pero creo que Masvidal por experiencia también se lo puede llevar. La segunda pelea, la de Volkanovski con Holloway, yo creo que Volkanovski se va a llevar esta victoria. Me gusta mucho Holloway, pero creo que Volkanovski se va a mantener como campeón. Y en la última sí se lo tengo que decir, señoras y señores, José Aldo. porque lo que se está jugando acá es más que una pelea por el título. Es cerrar un legado de una leyenda con broche de oro. Yo quisiera, y creo que todos quisiéramos ver a José Aldo terminando esa pelea en Abu Dhabi, en este marco, que ha sido un hombre que ha vivido todo en las MMA y que pueda ser campeón mundial nuevamente. Yo creo que por eso solamente para mí va a ganar José Aldo, a menos que Peter Yan obviamente quiera romper los planes, pero bueno, creo que Aldo tiene argumentos para llevarse el triunfo. Así que estos son los pronósticos, que hasta ahora Goyito, bueno, sigue ahí arriba, sí.
Sí,
pero bueno.
Tú escoges con lógica, yo escojo con el corazón. Entonces yo soy fan de esta gente de corazón. Tú no es por dinero, te mueves.
Bueno, ya con esto vamos a cerrar entonces el programa del día de hoy. Goyito Pérez, Eduardo Vargas, Andrés Lichtveld, estuvimos para ustedes en Entre Rounds. Agradecer también a MMA.uno, Corwac, también invitarlos a nuestras redes sociales, @Entre Rounds, en todas las plataformas para que usted se pueda enterar cuándo son nuestros próximos episodios, para que usted pueda ver los mejores videos y clips y material adicional al que pueden ver acá en el programa. Así que síganos en @Entre Rounds y nos vemos. Será hasta la próxima. Adiós.
Woohoo! Yeah! No, stop. Where are you going? Gotta watch out for this bad guy. Better to be home than be sorry. But wait! You don't have to cancel your event. Just stick with the audience, not the crowd. With our professional live stream services, globally target the right audience your business needs, while you engage and interact with active viewers. Be brave, be bold, and stay connected in our current isolated world. Go live with PowerTail Productions' professional live stream services.